Good day. This is Thumbs United. We are doing a creative stream, working with 35mm film. These scans, I've been scanning them for the past 2 weeks while I was playing Halo. That was part of the Halo run-throughs with multitasking with the Master Chief. And what took so long scanning them, I think there's about maybe 150 photos or thereabouts. What took so long is I had to scan each photo one at a time. Usually, what I do... There we go. Usually what I do is, or what you kind of do with scanning is, you scan the whole film strip and then you crop out the photos. But this time I did it one at a time. One photo at a time, and that took a lot longer because I'm scanning it at a higher resolution. There's a limit to how high a resolution you can scan at one time. So even though the scanner might be able to do like 10,000 dpi, you can't use the whole flatbed at 10,000 dpi. It will just crash. So you can do a little section at 10,000 dpi, and 10,000 dots per square inch is a lot. With the negatives, I was scanning at around 7,500 dpi, and that means that the 35mm film comes out close to, it's like either 59 or 61 megapixels. And so as you can see, you can almost see the film grain, which means that's the highest quality you could get from the film scan. A lot of people say that the maximum amount of image quality you can get from 35mm is like 8 to 12 megapixels, but I don't believe that for 1 second, because film is kind of like organized chaos, if that makes sense. Digital is just organized, like you have a grid, and that's the pixels, and each pixel is the exact same distance away from each other and the exact same, orientation. Film is not like that. Film is actually, if you imagine sand on just sand on a table, a piece of sand isn't going to be in the exact same place for each, table. So if you have like film has 35mm film has 36 exposures. So if you imagine, 36 tables, and each one has sand on it, none of those tables are going to have sand in the exact same spot. They're going to have the same density of sand, but it's not organized like digital. So in order to get like the max amount of quality, you have to be able to identify each, grain of sand, because that's a level of detail. And so if you're just, downscaling to fit within, 8 or 12 megapixels, you're losing a lot of detail that film has. So that's why with 35mm I scan at close to 60 megapixels. Once I get the medium format developed, the next project we're doing with film is the Milwaukee project. So once I get that developed, I'm going to try to scan at the same dots per square inch. But because medium format, I think it's somewhere around 2.25 times bigger than 35mm film. So that means the megapixels will be around, over 120 megapixels. And that's kind of the conversion from megapixels to dots per square inch. Because dots per square inch it's an area. You have the square inch. Megapixels is the whole size of the image. Essentially the whole area, where dots per square inch is like miles per hour. It's just a section. So I'm super excited for that. I did some test scans of 35mm in color, and oh my goodness, I've been doing photography wrong my whole life. I should have been using negatives. There was a time, well, I did have a bad experience with film once, where I went to Alaska, and my primary camera was a film camera. It was my grandmother's old Canon Rebel G, which is a really popular and reliable camera. And it was my mistake. I took the camera, bought a whole bunch of film, like a lot of film, and I used it as my primary camera, but I never tested it out before the trip. You should always test out the film camera before you go on a trip to make sure the shutter works and everything, because that's exactly what happened to me. It turned out the shutter wasn't working, so it would take the picture, advance the film, but the shutter would never open. So then I paid to have it all developed, and we get it back, and there's just nothing on the negatives. There might have been 15 or 20 rolls of film, and it was all blank. So I was like, oh. And again, like I said, it was my primary camera. I did bring my digital camera and took about 1,200 photographs with digital. But like the really good things, I made an effort to shoot on film. And like there were pictures of whales and dolphins and all this stuff that I was like, I want this on film. But so none of that came out. But it wasn't a total loss. Thank goodness I was still shot on some digital. So if you get a new film camera, or even if it's a film camera you owned for a while, test it out right before a trip. Like just take a roll of film and take photos of the city or the country or wherever you live, and make sure it still works. So I paid the lab, and it was really easy. I have 5 rolls of 35mm black and white film that I'm gonna have developed, and I was nervous, but I got paid yesterday. First thing I did was I went and you just go to the website, and then you tell them I have 5 rolls of film. It was like $55 with shipping, and so I checked out, and it ended up being $60, which is fine. I mean, but plus tax and everything. So you check out, and then they give you a link, and you click the link, and there's your receipt. You print that out and put it in the envelope, and then you click the second link, and it's the shipping. So they pay for your shipping there and the shipping back. So technically you're paying for it. You choose the shipping and handling. But it's like, that's nice, because I thought I would have to pay to ship it there, and the shipping and handling that I paid for was just to ship it back to me. But no, it's shipping both ways, and so shipping was about $6. It was like $5.50, $6. So I was like super impressed with that. And so I'm like, so far I'm a happy customer. I am going to help my sisters move pretty soon, around the 1st, 30th and the 1st. So I'm going to mail it like the 29th, which isn't that far away. I mean, it's only 4 days away. And so then they'll develop it, and I should be back home by the time it's finished. I imagine it will take like a week, because not only are they developing the film, they're going to send me a copy of the they're going to scan the negatives, which is why I went with this company, because it was a little bit more expensive, but the shipping was cheaper, and they include negative scans for free. So it's not going to be I'm not going to use the scans for like professional stuff. They have the option to where they'll do a high-res scan or a low-res scan, but the low-res scan is free, but I am going to use it for like social media promotion for things like, oh, I'm going to start streaming today, this is what we're working on. And so that's what I use it for, and that helps out a lot for social media. Just going across, looking for dots. Getting a little bit more dust marks towards the bottom. And you're kind of starting to see a lot of the film grain. Today was kind of rough. Luckily, I was able to sleep in. I went to bed at like 5 in the morning. I started to go to bed at 4. And again, it was like, I planned that. It was my day off today, as well as yesterday. And I was like, I'm going to party hard. So we did the late night stream with Mass Effect, which is like, that's how I party. That's how I spend my Friday nights. Working. Pretty much. There was this dating app, and there's like, you can't say everything on your profile. You have like 5 or 6 questions to choose from, and then you just answer them. So everyone kind of has the same questions, and it's an interesting way to do it. And then they give your answers. And they're things like, you know, you could have a dinner party. Who would you invite? What are you doing on a Friday night? And I was like, I have to be honest. I was like, I'm usually working. But yeah, so that's what I did Friday. I just streamed like an extra long time. And we're doing 2 streams today. Sometime between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be streaming the Mass Effect 2, the musical editing. So that's still going to happen tonight. But I got to my room, and I told you guys that that I had made some changes to the router and the extenders. And I was like, okay, this has to work. Because every day around 10 p.m., the extender just goes offline. Like, it crashes, and it knows it crashes. It has this indicator light to say, hey, I crashed. please restart me. And you can never restart it because it will just crash the second you restart it. So then I always have to do it, like almost every day. I have to restore it to factory default and then reconfigure it. And there's some problem in the firmware where it crashes hard. So I've tried, manually updating the firmware. I've told it don't get updates. I will update you manually, and for whatever reason, when it crashes, sometimes it recovers, but then it tries, like, none of the settings work except for the extender, like login and password. So then it tries to update, and I think that's 90% of the time it crashes. Something bad happens when it tries to update its firmware. So that's like, So last night I was like, I will get this to work if it's the last thing I do. So I spent a lot of time fixing it, and took 40 minutes. And I was like looking at my watch, and I was like, if it's not finished in 10 minutes, I'm going to bed. 10 minutes turned into 20 minutes, 20 minutes turned into 30 minutes, and then it was 40 minutes. Because I was just like, I'm going to get this fixed. And that's kind of my problem, is like once I start working on a project, I lock on. And I'm a very binary person. I'm either not doing something or I'm doing something 1,000%. And, to the max. And a lot of it is kind of overkill. But, so then I thought I fixed it. It worked for 11 hours. But then when I got up this afternoon, didn't get up in the morning, got up in the afternoon, it had already crashed. And I was like, And it's having problems where it's forgetting what I set. So it always wants to turn on the 5G network. And I've disabled the 5G network. So there's no 5G network for it to extend, but it's trying to do it. And so kind of as a joke, I named the 5G network fail, and then I turned it off, so I know if it's going back to the wrong settings, it will broadcast fail. So sure enough, for an hour or two, I kept rebooting it, and it would keep trying to broadcast the 5G network. And I was like, seriously? I've disabled it. So I go in and disable it each time. And you continuously try to broadcast it. So then, what I ended up doing was, it turned out that the 5G network, the broadcast, the SSID, was set to auto. And I was like, that makes no sense. I disabled it, in one setting, but then it's trying to broadcast a signal, an identifier, for a network that's not enabled. And I was like, does that make any sense? So then I disabled that, and then I wasn't very scientific. If I was doing it scientifically, I would change one variable at a time and test it. But I changed two variables. So I turned off the auto, and then for the extender, I said, just duplicate the settings, just stream the same settings as the router you're extending. And so I thought it would keep the extension name, because I have the same Wi-Fi name, but it's called extender 1. And so I thought it would just extend with the same same password, but same channel, same network mode, which is wireless N. But no, it did something even better. So I'm hoping it works well, but it is actually broadcasting the exact same network name. And so you only have to connect to one network source. You don't have to alternate, which has been a problem because this, especially with the phones, the laptops not so much. The phone will connect to the downstairs router, even though you're upstairs. So you have to constantly manually tell it, no, I'm upstairs. And for whatever reason, it will consistently connect to the wrong one. You're downstairs, it will connect to the upstairs one. It's like, the signal quality is lower. Why are you constantly connecting to the signal that's weaker? And I think it's just doing that. It's not even checking to see which signal is stronger. It's just connecting to the last one you connected to. So it's like, but so now it's all broadcasting on the exact same network, and hopefully the phone will be able to kind of route things better. The extender supposedly has beam forming, so if you're upstairs, it will connect to the router upstairs, the extender upstairs, and then it's supposed to like aim the signals in like the region you're connecting, which I don't believe actually works well, but we'll see. So we have to do the 48-hour test. Half of me thinks it's something wrong with somebody's configuration on their phone, because I've noticed that the router goes down most often when my sisters are back in the house. And so I don't know what apps they're running. If it's that they're watching too much Netflix, not too much Netflix. I'm not judging them for that. I don't know if Netflix uses, certain ports and that's what keeps crashing the router, or if it's, malware or something on their computer or whatnot. And so half of me thinks it's that, because when they're not home, the network works fine, but when they do, something happens. And it just might be a load, because the only thing I watch is like 30 minutes of YouTube pretty much before I go to bed, or I'll occasionally watch a Twitch channel in my room. But so I don't use the network so much. I just use it for email and an occasional messaging. But my sisters, they love Crunchyroll, they love Netflix. Which is fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I want to be clear. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying from a network perspective, that might be why it's crashing. But the megabits are high. It's actually connecting from one extender to another one. So the first extender gets about 20 megabits, and the second extender gets like 15 megabits up and down. So that's fantastic. My plan is to kind of get through again another 7 images. I'm feeling better than last time, which is funny, because I'm like extremely exhausted today. And it's funny because my mom knows I'm like really tired, so she actually put the Epsom salt in front of my door, so like I can take a bath and soak in the Epsom salt, and that's supposed to help the muscles. So after this, I'm gonna do that. I was gonna do it before the stream, but like I planned to wake up late. It's kind of like an Interstellar when they wake up. What's his face? Dr. Mann. And he's like, I went to bed and I didn't set a wake up time. I never thought I'd wake up again. And when he goes into crowded sleep, and that's kind of what I did. I went to bed and I turned off my alarm. I was like, I don't want to be interrupted. I don't care if the sun is coming up. And I had my blackout curtains on. And yeah, it helped. I slept until 2 p.m. and then, wrestled with the network, did some housework. I didn't really eat. I kind of scrounged around a little bit. I ate like 4 handfuls of trail mix, and then I had like this vitamin shake and coffee. I know we're really low on food, but we're traveling soon, and it's like all of us. So we don't want to go to the market and get extra food because it'll just go bad while we're gone. Okay, getting into a little bit more dust. Dust and scratches. Which is kind of, it's a miracle there's not a lot more. Because this film is from like 2007. So it's over 10 years old. So it's been kept in pretty good condition. I'm gonna save it real quick. Oh man, and Photoshop was working so much better. It's not crashing at all. And so I'm using CS6. That's the last version of Photoshop. You can like buy the whole, not the whole, extended. I mean, it is Photoshop, the extended edition, but it was the last, Photoshop you could get and pay outright for the whole thing before Creative Cloud. I refuse to pay for Creative Cloud because I don't need a monthly subscription. I'm getting rid of all my monthly subscriptions for like digital stuff, and I just refuse to get another one for software because I don't want updates. Like with CS6, it is designed for a specific era of computers. It was released in like 2012, so it's designed to work on computers from like 2011 to 2015. It was developed with technology from that era. But with Creative Cloud, it's constantly getting updated. So like each year it's focusing on hardware and acceleration that's new, from the new year. So if you got CS6 in like 2015 and you keep updating, it's more targeted for the next year. So even though you only have, hardware from 2015, it's going to slowly, and not so slowly actually, it's going to get more and more slow, and then eventually it's not going to support the hardware. So I don't want to have to pay monthly for it to start slowing down, And yes, it's cheap in the short term, but I got it was about $800 for the production pack. I got it with it came with Media Encoder, but I got it with Premiere Pro, and it came with a bunch of stuff. The problem is I have 2 packs, so that's why I don't really remember. It came with Premiere Pro Encode, which is like a failure. I don't know why they shipped it. It doesn't work. And there are all these forms of I tried to make a Blu-ray and it just crashed all the time. And it's like, But came with Photoshop Extended, Came with Photoshop Extended, Encode, no Encore, and then Adobe Audition, which is for sound editing, and then something else. But then I also have the web design for the Mac, and that came with InDesign, which is what I use to edit the books. And then okay, edit a copy. Here we go. I couldn't see the option. So I mean, it came with a bunch of stuff. And then I use Illustrator for doing like CAD and CNC stuff. And so like I'll use Illustrator to create designs for the lasers and for shot pots, which is, they're like robots and they carve out, you know, your designs and everything. Again, this is like a high contrast image, so a lot of the dust is going to be kind of hidden, which is good. Trying to get my elbow comfortable. If I lay it on the table a certain way, I can get it to where my hand like doesn't fall asleep. But a lot of times, and even if I sit in a chair wrong with the armrests attached to the chair, it will make my hand just fall asleep. And so my hand's like at the point where it's like, I'm kind of falling asleep, but then it starts waking up, and I'm like, posture, arm posture. Ho ho ho. This image went by really fast, so we're gonna have no problem getting through a minimum of 7 photographs. So we'll try to do more. We'll aim for like 10. Always have to do better than the last day. Rise. So that's that image. Now we're moving on to the next forest image. And this forest is in Flint. Okay, but I'm gonna take a short break. I gotta go get some water. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's get back to work. Do 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 do. Just going across, removing anything that doesn't belong. I'm like choking. I ate like another 2 handfuls of trail mix. And now the trail mix is fighting back. It says, how dare you eat me? I'm going to kill you. Death by trail mix. About a third of the way done. These images are going a lot faster. Do. I have to print, well, see, I'm not sure. I think I'm just gonna look for a nice cover. I might actually have a small booklet. I have a thing for 8x10s. But I'm gonna get into that art gallery. I'm gonna submit the my, what is it called? I mean, it's a small portfolio, but that's not it. I'm submitting my application. And the funny thing is, the reason why I decided to do it is not because, I mean, I do want to get my photography in the art gallery, but the main reason is I want to get the job experience, add that to my resume, because once you're accepted, you have to work two days a month, and so then I can add that to my resume of additional retail work, and then I'm just gonna start, applying to more galleries, because a lot of them are similar. They're like, well, you have to volunteer your time, and then you can show your work there. So I'm gonna do that, and it gives me a chance to like meet with other artists and stuff, and socialize in real life, which is something I kind of need to do. I mean, a lot of the work I do alone. So I gotta get out there and, start making friends and meeting people. Especially like-minded people. Artistes, which is a word I hate, but I use kind of jokingly. big piece of dust. I'm always kind of happy when I find a piece of dust, because then it's like, oh good, there's a reason why I'm doing this. If I got through a whole image and there was like nothing, I'm not saying it's a waste of time, you always have to double check. But it gives you something to do, and it's like, haha, busted. The dust tried to get through. Okay, we're done. Done with that image. Let's see. We've done 1, 2. We've only done 3 images. What? Oh no, we've done 4. So we're gonna try to do 10. Oh, so I was starting to say before we left, Photoshop has been crashing a lot less often now. And what I did was I turned off the GPU acceleration. I think like if I'm not streaming, Photoshop doesn't have a problem. But I think there was like a collision of problems when I would use OBS. I think Photoshop and OBS share too many of the resources, so it's just slowing down my graphics card, which is what was making Photoshop unstable. So I turned that off in Photoshop, and it worked a lot better. And then recently I had a solid state hard drive that I have been using. Several of the sectors are bad in the solid state hard drive. So what that means is like it will run, but then it will crash at random times, and like hard crash. And so it used to be a boot hard drive. It's 32 gigs, and I'd use it for Linux, but it just got too unstable. So I kind of took it out of the PC, the Linux box. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try using it again. So what I did was I partitioned one side. And I was like, I hope most of the bad sectors are in this other partition. And then it's just never mounted that partition. And then I left so it's 32, and I had 12 gigabytes. Wait a second. No. So I had 22 gigabytes just dedicated to a partition that wasn't in use. And then the last 10 gigabytes I have dedicated to caching for Photoshop. And so I told Photoshop, you can use like 8 gigs of this solid state hard drive. And then I have Lightroom caching. So it uses like between 2 and 4 gigs. And both have gotten extremely more stable. And part of the reason why I'm like souping up Photoshop is I'm getting ready for the medium format color. Each one of these black and white photos at 60 megapixels is 140 megabytes. So that's pretty big for a photo, especially a black and white photo. Usually, like if it was a digital camera and it was 60 megapixels, it's usually around a megabyte per megapixel in RAW. So it would be like 70 megabytes or so in color. So a color 35 millimeter, 65 megapixels, is 530 megabytes. So that's like half a gig of photograph. And so that's a lot to process. And the medium format color is going to be like a gigabyte per image. And the good news is there's only 60 images of medium format. And the way I took the medium format photos, they're all unique photographs. None of them are duplicate. So they should all be used. Hopefully there's like 100% success rate. So I use like all 60 photographs and for something, either the animation or the or selling prints. I am going to make a video with the colored film, the color medium format. My hope is that I will be able to render it in 8K. So that'll be fun. It won't take forever. But what I'm going to do is I'm only going to have one episode in 8K, and it should be around, I'm going to split it up into parts to render. So it will be like 20 or 30 segments so that way I can just run it overnight, and we'll do the first segment, and it'll be rendering on my Windows PC. I'll be booted into Linux, but it will slowly chunk overnight. A little bit more dust around the bottom. And the way I'm able to see the dust is it just kind of has to be an area that doesn't make sense for the dust to be, or it's like not in the color range or the tone range of black and white, where it's like it's way too bright for the area. Like it just doesn't fit. So even though there is like a couple of speckles of lightness, there isn't like that much. It stands out a lot. Like this area. A lot of dust and scratches. Okay, we kind of did this part, but we're gonna go along the bottom. And save. Opening up the next one. Some more trees. We're going to work our way from the top and go down. I feel like it's always faster to do these horizontal images. I don't know why. It just feels like it goes faster. Kind of ran out of things to talk about. No, I was fixing the router. I mean the extender. I loaded up some Deadpool. And the reason why I did it is I'm trying to figure out like an easy way to fix it, because it seems like every time I have to reset it, it takes 2 or 3 attempts to like reset it to factory settings. So I was trying to like, maybe if I just unplug it for like 10 minutes, it will like, I don't have to reset it to factory settings. So I would do it for like 10 to 15 minutes, play a little bit of Deadpool, and then I check back and I was like, oh, nope, still doesn't work. And it's funny because it takes like I'm timing it. Like it will start broadcasting the Wi-Fi in a minute, but it takes like 2 minutes and 30 seconds from when you plug it in to actually become responsive enough to log in. And then there's this problem with this extender. I have 2 of them. I have no problem with the first one. I'm getting close to thinking I just have to return this one, because it has been uphill. But yeah, so there's like this time limit where once it's been on for like 2 minutes, you have to log in really quickly to the setup utility, and then if you take too long, the setup crashes. So it's like, no, I have to reboot. I have to reboot again and go through it. Go through that whole process. But I forgot how fun Deadpool was. So that image is done. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're gonna do 2 more for sure. We might do another 4. Okay, so now we're going. Okay. So we're getting into an area where there's a couple of duplicates. And there's actually 68 photos that I selected. Okay. Hold on. Edit in Photoshop. Yes, please. It's loading. I'm looking for like a cushion I can use. I don't see one in this room. My arm's like asleep now. I'm gonna save it first. Yeah, it's weird. I told Lightroom that whenever I edit in Photoshop, I want it to be exported as a PSD file, Photoshop document, because then I can always go back and change. Like the Photoshop documents hold the history. I can always change like some of the restoration and stuff, especially for when I'm going to be editing the medium format in color. I'm going to do most of the color adjustments in Photoshop instead of in Lightroom. And so I want to keep the PSD file for all of the all the changes I make. And so, I mean, it does it. It does what it's supposed to do. But it's funny because Lightroom will send Photoshop the TIFF file, TIFF, and TIFF is kind of like with digital cameras, you can shoot RAW, and that's the highest quality image you can get from a digital camera or DSLR. And so scanners don't scan to RAW. TIFF is like the version of RAW for a scanner, and it's uncompressed, and it's like exactly all the detail the scanner sees. Most of it is like 16-bit color and everything, or 16-bit gray, which is like billions of, for color scans, it's billions of different colors. And going back to the film development, I'm sending in the film, like I already paid for it. I have it packaged and ready to go to the post office. But I'm sending in my 35mm first, and then we're gonna, I'm gonna live stream working on it, and then and then I'm going to send in the medium format in like 2 months or so, because I can't get to the medium format editing. There's like 140 or 150 35mm images we're gonna have to edit, and that's gonna take like a month or two. So it's like, why spend all the money all at once? Okay, I'll be right back. My headphones just died. Okay, that took a really long time. The first 2 batteries I got were dead. What happened was 3 days ago. I have like 8 rechargeable batteries, and like 4 of them are in things like remotes and stuff. So there's like 4 of them that I alternate for the headphones, and like they last a long time. The headphone takes 1 battery at a time, and they last for like 2 to 3 weeks of heavy use. And anyway, I hadn't put any to recharge until like 3 days ago, but they were charging, and they take about 24 hours to recharge, and they were recharging for like 12 hours, and I accidentally hit the recharger, and it unplugged, and I plugged it back in. But this recharger is funny. It's a really old Energizer recharger, and so if a battery is like half full, it thinks, oh, I don't need to recharge it. It will essentially only charge it if it thinks it's empty. So I couldn't get it to recharge, so they were half full. So the last battery lasted 4 or 5 days from it, but then I was like, okay, I'll go get the other battery. It's gonna be half full, but that's okay. It will last another 5 days or so. And I got the battery, got the next 2 batteries. I got the first battery completely dead. And I was like, seriously? And then I got the other battery, still completely dead. So I was like, So I actually do have a pack of non-rechargeable batteries, but I don't like to use them because I want to save the environment and not use so many not rechargeable batteries. So I'm using that one instead. So the non-rechargeable batteries last for like a month of heavy use, but that's what took so long. And like I use the headphones for like streaming. I use like 4 hours a day, and then for like some videos that I watch, like the ASMR stuff, I use maybe an hour. So it's like I use the headphones for like 5 hours a day, and like I actively try to not use them. Either use speakers or listen to nothing at all. But I haven't I would like to get it to the point where I can do open air, free air recording, which is when you use the microphone and set up to where it's coming out of your speakers, but it doesn't get picked up in the microphone, and there's no feedback loop. And the feedback loop is like this really high pitch, squeal. And you've probably heard it. But or echo from the speakers. So that would be ideal, and then I never have to use headphones. But I'm not there yet. There's like not a pedal, but there's an XLR kind of plug-in you can get for your whatever it's called, mixer. Couldn't think of the name. And that will do it, but those are kind of expensive. And my goal for 2018 and 2019 is to not spend money. And I say that's my goal, but then I'm planning to start like another large production with like actual people. I mean, not large, but larger than these single-handed productions I do. so we're finished with that one. You know, I'm happy if we did 7, so I'm gonna count. See how many did. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that was the 7th. We'll do one more. We'll do 8. Go above and beyond. Oh my goodness, I did it again. I'm talking away and I never transitioned. This is like the 2nd time this week I've done that. I'm so focused on working. So I'll do another. Well, let's try to do another 3 more. I'm getting kind of a second wind. And hopefully these go fast. I don't see a lot of problems with this image. Now I see a problem. It's not a thumbprint, it's some aliasing from the scanner and the negative. How to make my spot heal smaller to fit everywhere. A lot of dust on the building. It's the negative, but for whatever reason it collected on the building, the side of the film. Yeah, so I take it back. This image needs a lot of work. A lot of work. some zebra, some aliasing right here. Right on the traffic light. Okay, we got rid of that. And we're close to being halfway done with this image. Hopefully it gets a little easier to edit. Whoa. Okay, we have some zebra in here. Get rid of that. Almost done. Yikes. Yikes. Okay, and that one's done. So there that is. There that is. Sounds like bad grammar. So we're going to do 2 more images. This is one of the 2. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure that last one was the 8th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the 10th one. I think I counted wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I did count wrong. This is a 9, so we have one more after this. And again, this is in downtown Flint. I'm gonna start away at the top. Make the brush a little bit bigger. Just a little bit. And this blue sky, even though it's gray, a lot of dust shows up on light gray. Because it's right in between. Like anything that's lighter shows up, anything that's darker shows up in light gray. So we're gonna finish our 10 we set out to do. So that's good. I've been streaming for 2 hours, which is kind of like 2 hours is, you know, a comfortable amount of time. Once I get into like 2 hours and 40 minutes, I don't know, I just kind of get antsy and have to take a break from video editing and also from film restoration. I gotta unwind a little bit. Still playing with the idea of getting a used car. After this, I'm gonna look at some prices of used Subarus. What I really want to do is get a minivan, because I'm gonna convert it into being like a camper van. Again, I'm looking at Toyotas or Hondas. I prefer a Toyota. I have a really good track record with them. And that's kind of why I trust a used Toyota more than a used Honda. But Subarus are like fantastic. And so even though it is smaller, I think I could still convert it into like a camping vehicle. And so I'm going to look into that, because it'd be nice to have a car with all-wheel drive. And you have to work really hard to get a Subaru that's not all-wheel drive. I mean, like, they borderline don't exist. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm also going to be soaking my muscles in some Epsom salt. And then I'm going to watch a video or two. I'm really getting into not quite hypnosis, but guided meditation. I found this one person that I really like. And it's just like, it's kind of like Sherlock. You find your mind palace and going on a journey, mental exercise. And I do really feel relaxed afterwards. In general, like, I'm a calm person. Like, I do have high anxiety, but I hide it really well. Like, I've actually been diagnosed with high anxiety. I'm not just saying like, oh, I'm anxious all the time. But the guided meditation really helps. And so does the ASMR. But to be honest, I don't get the tingles so much anymore. Like, in real life, I get it all the time from like random things. Like, I even get it sometimes from text messages, which I know is weird. But a lot of times, like, I can think of a memory where I got the ASMR from, and like that will trigger it. But from videos, I don't really get it that much anymore. I mainly just watch the relaxation ones for like guided meditation and stuff. But in general, I've been doing a lot better. Starting to get back like extra motivation, if that makes sense. Before I was kind of like, but now I'm getting, like, I don't have to force myself to be positive. It's just I'm getting back to my usual self, which is nice, because like I've been fighting this stuff for like years. And now it's like I can just be myself. I don't have to like constantly, pull up. I mean, it felt like, you're in an airplane crashing, and like you're pulling up as hard as you can, but the plane's not responding. But now it just feels like, I'm gliding at a nice, safe altitude. So that's good. Whoa. G's, OPs. A lot of damage here. What is that about? Do. Half of me wants to watch a Dark Knight movie, but I can't decide on which one. I watch Dark Knight Rises a lot. That's my favorite one. But I'm thinking I'm gonna watch The Dark Knight eventually, once I have free time. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I really feel like The Dark Knight kind of went too far. I mean, you don't blow people up. There's like all that stuff with the bomb inside the guy. And I feel like the Joker, it's the best performance of Joker. Like, I agree with that, but Joker's kind of like a lame character, in my opinion. He's kind of just, greedy for attention, especially Batman's attention. And he's never like doing something bad to do something bad. It's just to like, kind of like to annoy Batman. And I was playing, what's it called? not Arkham City, but Arkham Knight. And it's just like, that's the problem with most of the villains with Batman, is like they just want his attention. It's like he's their parent and they're just acting up, kind of. I remember thinking that because I'm doing this one mission. I forgot who I was going after. And all of a sudden the Riddler comes up and he's like, Batman, you haven't been paying attention to me. And I'm like, seriously, dude? You know? I guess their motivation is not that great. But that's how I feel about the Joker. And so then in The Dark Knight, he's just like, I'm just here to mess things up. And then eventually he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to help get rid of Batman. And then he's like, you know what? I'm just going to... Like, it switches to he has this, like, love affair with Batman. Where he's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. When the whole time he's just been trying to be, random and agent of chaos and stuff. And it's just like... It's just, like, really unfocused. And that's kind of why... And then, too, blowing up Rachel Dawes. Spoiler alert. And all that. That's like too graphic. That should have been like a hard R movie. I don't know how they got that to PG-13. I'm like a real stickler for ratings. I'm not saying like movies have to be less violent, which I think they should be, but it's not something like I expect to happen. But I wish like the ratings for movies were more honest. I don't think they are. A lot of times I think the bigger movie studios kind of muscle around the Motion Picture Association into like giving them the rating they want. And I think a lot of it is technicalities, and they're not looking at like the spirit of the rules. So like I think you can have a movie and it can be guns and everything in it, but it will get PG-13 because there's like a limited amount of blood and everything. And it's just like, yeah, but they're still guns. They still represent the same thing. And I'm fine with guns, in media and everything. But it's just like, you need to make those R. And like, to be honest, I think if The Matrix was re-released today, it would get a PG-13 rating, which is not something I agree with. I mean, I think The Matrix was a great movie, great trilogy, and it got, the rating it deserved. But a lot of these Marvel movies, I would not make them PG-13. And it should be, that's fine, But it's become so much marketing that, we can't make a movie and have it R because then a lot of people won't come to that. PG's kind of like this, PG-13 is kind of the sweet point. It's like, yeah, but it's... And then going back to the spirit, it's like, if it would be R. And this is the same for video games. You can't have the gun pointed directly at the camera, or else that makes it makes the rating go up and everything. It's just like, so you can have it pointed, at a slight angle over the camera, but you can't have the gun pointed directly at the camera, or else you automatically get, a higher rating. And I'm like, there's like these technicalities that, don't make, they make sense, but they're just like, they don't go with like this spirit of the law. Okay, this is the last one. And then we'll be done. I've been streaming for 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is a comfortable amount of time. So let's hope this one is relatively problem-free. Do, 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 do. Relatively problem-free. And we're like a third of the way done. Okay, so this is an actual cable. I almost started removing it. So yeah, I'm doing another creative stream tonight, working with Mass Effect. We're going to be editing down the Let's Play 4 and kind of converting it to be like a musical sequence. What happens is I wrote a program and it combines the frames. So the whole Let's Play first is combined into goes from being 2 hours and like 30 minutes to 1 hour. And then it's reassembled from 30 frames per second into 60 frames per second. So that cuts it from being an hour to being, about a half hour. And then we edit the half hour version and make the cuts, even better and flow easier. And so far it's been getting a lot easier to edit. The first couple of episodes were difficult, and part of that was because I was kind of still figuring out how to edit this. It's like it's a different style of editing. So I kind of found my feet, and now I can edit a lot faster. I know what looks good and what doesn't. And so it's just moving faster for that reason. And then it's getting to the point where it's more gameplay and less cutscenes, and like I really have to edit down the cutscenes. So because it's more gameplay, it's just there's kind of less work I have to do. So I've been getting, like last night I got three parts of the musical done. I was able to take the Let's Play episode 4 and convert it into 3 episodes for the musical, which is like fantastic, and I did it in like 2 hours and 20 minutes, where before it was taking like 4 or 5 hours of streaming to do. So hopefully this episode 5 is much faster. Not much faster, the same speed it takes 2 hours to finish. So that's what we're going to be doing later tonight. I'll be streaming sometime between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's 7 p.m. right now, so I'm probably going to stream around 11. I have kind of a few things to do still. I got debts to pay. Okay, we're almost done. Almost done. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see everyone. I'd say around 11, sometime in between the hour of 11 p.m. Eastern Time. On the West Coast, that's like, what is it? That's like 8. Yeah, that's 8 p.m. on the West Coast. 9 p.m. Central. So we'll be editing Mass Effect then. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Tuesdays, I do video game Let's Plays Live. We're doing Halo 2. We just started the library level. And then Wednesdays and Fridays they're dedicated to creative streams. And Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I stream creative if there's like a production crunch, which there is. And so that's why the past couple of weeks I've been streaming like every day of the week. So I want to thank everyone for coming by. I will see everyone later tonight. Bye-bye.